welcome to another grammar lesson with teacher Catalina. Today we are still talking about the verb tener. So if you have not watched part 1, make sure you look in the description and start there. In our previous lesson, we learned how to conjugate the verb tener, which means to have. We went over all of the conjugations and we paid special attention to them because tener is an irregular verb. Just as a quick review, make sure you look at the conjugations of the verb tener. Make sure that you pay attention to the yo form, which has a go, and make sure that you notice that some of the forms have a change in the E to IE. That does not happen in the yo, that does not happen in nosotros, and it does not happen in vosotros. So very quickly look over them, and then we'll be ready to start. All right, let's do this. Today's focus is on using tener to talk about the things that we have to do. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to talk about the things you have to do and others have to do. Things such as, I have to do my homework, I have to clean the house, I have to write an email, I have to call somebody on the phone, and things like that. Before we jump straight into tener and the things we have to do, we have to remember that infinitives are verbs that have not been conjugated. Do you remember? What did they end in? Good. Infinitives end in AR, ER, and IR. And we have to pay close attention to them because in this lesson, and when we talk about things that we have to do, we have to bring them into the equation and we have to use them along with the verb tener. So how do we talk about the things we have to do? Here's your formula. Tener que plus the infinitive. Tener que plus the infinitive is the formula that you're going to use to talk about the things you or others have to do. Now, let's take a look at our formula. Do you see tener? That tener has to be conjugated because that is what is going to allow us to know who has to do something. So if I have to do something, I'm going to use the yo form and I'm going to say tengo que plus the infinitive. If you have to do something, you will say tienes que plus the infinitive. Do you see the pattern? The tener que plus the infinitive, the tener part has to be conjugated. I want you to pay very close attention to the formula. Tener que plus infinitive. Should you conjugate the infinitive? I know, it's a tricky question, but the answer is no. You cannot conjugate the infinitive in this case because otherwise it would not be an infinitive. And the formula calls for an infinitive. So leave the infinitive alone. Only conjugate the tener part. Got it? Good. Do you believe in to-do lists? I have to use them. Otherwise, I would never remember the things that I have to do throughout the day. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share my to-do list for the day so that you can see what I have going on and you can see how I use the formula tener que plus infinitive. Good? Look at my list. That's a lot of things that I have to do today. But let's start. The first thing I have to do, la primera cosa que tengo que hacer es tengo que usar la computadora. Tengo que usar la computadora. Tengo que prender la computadora. Tengo que prender la computadora. Tengo que mirar mis correos electrónicos. Tengo que mirar mis correos electrónicos. Tengo que escribir correos electrónicos. Tengo que escribir correos electrónicos. Tengo que llamar por teléfono a mis estudiantes. Tengo que llamar por teléfono a mis estudiantes. Para la escuela también tengo que corregir las tareas y tengo que ayudar a los estudiantes. We just looked at all of the things that I have to do for school. Las cosas que tengo que hacer para la escuela. Did you notice that all of the sentences had tener que plus an infinitive? Look at my to-do list again. Take a minute and make sure you kind of go over those things that I have to do. Notice the pattern. Tener que plus an infinitive. Yes, I'm doing another to-do list. Now I'm doing a to-do list for my husband and for my son of the things that need to be done around the house, the things they have to do around the house to help out a little bit. Should we look at that to-do list too? Yes, let's do it. Look at the list. Profe Nano, mi hijo, tiene que poner la mesa. También él tiene que lavar los platos. Profe Nano tiene que sacar la basura. Did you notice how I used él tiene que, he has to, and then I followed it by an infinitive? That's exactly what you're learning how to do here. Always use tener que plus the infinitive. When I showed you my to-do list, I said, yo tengo que, I have to. But now that we're talking about mi hijo, my son, it says, él tiene que. Did you see how the tener part of tener que plus infinitive got conjugated differently? Because instead of talking about yo, I was talking about my son, which is a he. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to show you a couple more examples. Mi esposo, look at his list, my husband. Mi esposo tiene que, tener que, see how I conjugated tener to tiene because I'm talking about mi esposo? Mi esposo tiene que pasar la aspiradora. Él también tiene que hacer la cama y tiene que limpiar las ventanas. Él tiene que limpiar las ventanas. Después, juntos, together, tenemos que doblar la ropa. Nosotros tenemos que doblar la ropa. ¿Te gusta doblar la ropa? A mí no me gusta doblar la ropa, pero tenemos que doblar la ropa. So now you've seen me use tener que plus an infinitive to talk about the things that I have to do, that my son and my husband have to do, and the things that we have to do. The main thing that I want to make sure you remember is this little formula here to talk about the things that you have to do. Tener que plus an infinitive. Tener que plus an infinitive. And the rule goes, conjugate tener and leave the infinitive alone. Tener gets conjugated so you and I, we, know who is performing the action. Got it? ¿Qué tienes que hacer tú? What do you have to do? Look at the verb hacer, to do. ¿Qué tienes que hacer tú? What do you have to do? I want you to try to use the formula tener que plus infinitive to answer ¿Qué tienes que hacer tú? I'll give you a few seconds. You got it? I think you do. So hopefully your answer looks like this. Tengo que, and then you followed it by an infinitive. Any infinitive. Let me give you a list. Got it? Here's the list of all sorts of activities or things you may have to do. So take a really good look. Some of them are chores. Some of them are activities that you may have to do. Take a good look, and we'll go back to our answer. So let's go back to our question. ¿Qué tienes que hacer? ¿Qué tienes que hacer tú? And your answer should look like, yo tengo que limpiar, yo tengo que hablar por teléfono, yo tengo que hacer mi tarea, yo tengo que escuchar música, yo tengo que escribir un correo electrónico. All sorts of things that you may have to do. Now, I want you to take a few seconds and think about things you would like your brother, your sister, or your friend to do for you. Write a quick to-do list for them. But think about this. You're saying, you have to. So figure out that tu conjugation for the verb tener. So your list should look like tú tienes que. You have to. And then you follow by an infinitive. I'll give you a few seconds. You have at least two? Let's look at them together. So your answer should look like tú tienes que maybe lavar los platos. Tú tienes que lavar los platos. Tú tienes que sacar al perro. Tú tienes que sacar al perro. Or tú tienes que hacer la cama. Tú tienes que hacer la cama. Good! You just learned how to say the things you have to do and how to tell somebody that they have to do something. Isn't that a great thing? Maybe you can get help and get your to-do list done, all of it, with the help of a friend or a family member because you can tell them what they have to do. So remember your formula. It is tener que plus the infinitive of the activity that you want them to do or that you have to do. So tener que plus infinitive is the formula that will get you saying what you have to do or others have to do. So now that you and I are done with this lesson and you can say what you and others have to do, ¿qué tenemos que hacer? What do we have to do? Don't worry. Tenemos que darle un clic a me gusta y darle un clic a suscríbete. And don't forget that if you have to review anything about tener, whether it's the conjugations, so part 1, or how to use tener que plus an infinitive, which is this one, part 2, these videos are always here for you. And you can click play and replay as many times as you need to until you feel comfortable using tener que expressions, and tener que by itself. Thank you so much for joining me today. Muchísimas gracias. Pero tengo que ir a trabajar. Tengo muchos correos electrónicos que responder. Adiós. Chao.